to week 2 now of the best little prison in Britain. Do the inflection there, because of course it is a question. Now it has been, it must be said, a week of a lot of attention for the island's prison, if nothing else. Some good, but what seems to be mostly bad. How have you felt you've been under the spotlight?
You're right, it's actually quite mixed, although in truth, some people seem to make their mind up before the episode and before the other 5 episodes. There will be, I think, more balance to come, but I'd really like to explain some of the misconceptions which are out there at the moment, which people have just, and perhaps it hasn't been explicit enough, perhaps it hasn't been explained properly, but there are a number of areas that I'd really like to touch on, which I think will stop some of the myths which are out there at the moment.
Well, arguably the first episode could be the most important, because that's the one whether you decide if you're going to watch the rest or not. So is it not incumbent upon that first episode to be the most balanced?
You could argue that, but I don't have editorial control. All I've been able to do is actually open up prison and probation, even though probation haven't featured, and the production company and the TV company are the ones who actually decide exactly what's going to go out and when.
Okay, well, if we touch on some of the criticism then within the first episode that we've seen, it focused on tuck shops and relationships within the prison. There was a couple of restatements that it's some of the lowest reoffending rates in Europe. However, most of the concentration was on people that were in fact reoffenders, and that certainly came under some scrutiny. What do you make of that?
If I can take each of those in turn, the tuck shop bit, the prison shop, there is one in every prison in the UK. This is not unique to the Isle of Man. What came across was it was about sweets. Now, prisoners aren't given money, they have to earn it, and they earn it by actually doing jobs in the prison. We have many jobs which are for charities, a Manx Blind Mission, the hospice. We do work in the gardens for horticulture for our own kitchen, cleaning, painting, education. They have to earn the money. Now, the average wage they get is £11.50 a week. That's it, tops. They can spend it on a number of items depending on their regime level, how they've behaved. If they've misbehaved, then that's maximum fiver, and it can go up to enhanced at £36 a week. So their wages, and the top wage in the prison is £20 a week, and that's for recycling, can be topped up with money from families sending it in. But 75% of what's actually purchased is phone credits to actually speak to their family, which didn't come across, toiletries to stay clean and fresh, and e-cigarettes. Something like an average of £3 a week is spent on sweets. It's actually incredibly low, and they have to have earned it.
So are you unhappy with the level of focus that received in the first episode?
I don't think it was clear about where it sits. We speak about carrot and stick a lot. I on interview with the production company, I speak about it all the time. Now, if offenders are not going to behave, then there are consequences for that. We will segregate them in solitary confinement. We will put them on basic. When I said they could only spend £5 a week, in addition to that, they have 22 hours in a cell. They have no TV. They have to wear prison clothing, and they have the minimum statutory visits. However, if they are going to engage with us, access education, access the work opportunities, reduce their risk with things like victim empathy, anger management, then we will not only reward that, but they will progress. That hasn't come out. I'm hoping it will come out in the other programmes, but the carrot and stick is that there are offenders. I mean, we've added several hundred days to offender sentences who have broken our rules this year. There are consequences for not behaving in the right way. But equally, I believe you should actually encourage people to change. Every one of these offenders is going back into our community. Not a community somewhere, our community. And why would we not want them to go back less of a risk? And why would we not want to prevent the next victim? You're absolutely right. We featured some quite well-established offenders who have been in before and may well be in again. Much harder to break that cycle. I'm hoping that as it unfolds, we'll actually see the number of offenders who are actually taking the opportunities and turning their lives around.
If it doesn't, if the next 5 episodes don't provide the balance that you'd like to see, is that not just the risk you've taken by opening up your prison, your probation services to a TV crew which ultimately wants to make the most entertaining programme, not necessarily with the interests of the reputation locally at heart?
Of course it's a risk. When they first approached me, I took quite a while to consider this. But they came over and did a taster video, and the taster video was balanced, was exactly what I would have wanted it to be, and actually saw the fact that we were looking to try and incentivise good behaviour and try and make our community safer. So from my point of view, yes, it's a risk, but time will tell.
So what aspects of it would you like to see less of, and what aspects would you like to see more of?
The concentration on individual relationships in quite well-established prisoners, but that will listen anyway. That was really the first programme. There are others where we will show, and I've seen enough of the rough cuts to actually know that we will actually sort of see them reflecting on where they are and wanting to change their lives and not come back again. And that, for me, is actually probably the quote, is that we're looking to change people's lives. I work in a business that wants less customers. I don't want people to return. And we're having some success with that.
Do you think it's reflecting the seriousness of your message in this programme, or is it being presented as a joke?
I don't see it as a joke. I don't think prison is a joke, and I think anyone who's actually been inside would never see it as that. Losing your liberty, your ability to control your life, to be with someone you want to be and do things you want to do when you want to do it, is a huge price. If you then misbehave within that environment, there are consequences again, and it's pretty miserable, and it really is. And they work very hard to get off that basic level because it's a pretty crummy life to live.